Hey guys, my name is Scarlett, and I am here to tell you a little bit of background story about me and my boyfriend and how we got to be here. So basically, we met it'll be 7 years in November of this year. So we met in like 2018. I was living in a Section 8 apartment, and he was living in a camper, during the warm part of the year up in New England, and then he'd go to Florida in the winter. And so we dated for a couple months, and then he had to go to Florida, so he did, and we decided that we wanted to be together. So I had him come stay with me in my apartment for a while. And then I had lived in that place for a long time. It was good to me, but there was a million and one reasons to hate living there. The only good reason being the cheap rent, I guess. So when summertime came, I decided to go with him to Florida and get his camper, bring it back up to Maine. We actually met in New Hampshire, but he lived in Maine, I lived in New Hampshire. They're right next to each other. And move into the camper together. So we did that, and I just said, screw the apartment. I'm ready for a different life. And so we did that, and we were staying at this campground on the beach in Maine, which was pretty nice. But the lady was a psycho that ran the place, and come to find out, a lot of these people that run these private campgrounds are kind of crazy and controlling. And this lady was pretty bad, though. Like, she'd literally just sit at the front all the time like a prison guard, and it really wasn't it wasn't even that bad at first, until we got to know her more. It got to the point where, like, her husband couldn't help her with the campground anymore. Like, I don't know, it's kind of a long story. I won't get into the drama of it all. But we started to help her around the campground, but we still had our full-time job paving. When I met my boyfriend, I was working in a restaurant for $12 an hour, and it was pretty miserable. And he was a paver, and he told me I could quit my job and he would take care of me, basically. So I did that for a couple months, and then I was like, oh, I gotta work. I can't just sit at home. So I started paving with him and helping out with the family business. So we were doing that full time, but then also trying to help this lady. And I worked for her too, and helped my boyfriend. And it got to the point where she loved having me there and helping her, but it was like she was paying me like shit, and she was paying me under the table, and it ended up that she ended up giving me a camper instead of actually giving me money. And it was a sweet camper, a nice one, but I literally worked all summer it was like, the camper was like $3,000, right? And I worked 5 or 6 months with her just for that $3,000. So she wasn't paying me much more than the restaurant was, and she was a controlling psycho, so it was a lot. And the more we helped her, the more help she wanted, and we got spread a little too thin, basically. And when I told her I couldn't work for her anymore at the end of the summer, and then I was just going to help my boyfriend pave because it was more lucrative, she was like, I don't know, she flipped out, basically, and was pissed. And I don't know, she started making things difficult for us and whatever. It just couldn't go back to how it was. So it was what it was. She was cool when she got what she wanted, and then it didn't work out in the end. So basically, It was the end of the year, and we went to Florida, and then we thought about it a lot over the winter. We used all our money to buy another smaller camper, because the one I got from her was like a 40-foot park model, and there's no way we're going to be able to tow that to Florida from Maine. So we left it there, used the rest of our money to get a smaller camper, brought that down, and then thought about it a lot over the winter. And we were like, dude, we can't go back and stay with this lady. Like, I doubt it's going to work out. We need to figure something else out. So we came back in the spring, and we tried to just like work, make some money paving, also help her a little bit on the side. Like, she wanted us to do some cleanup stuff there, like leaves and stuff, but it was kind of hard with the full-time job, and I don't know, she got kind of crazy pretty quick. So basically it got to the point where we just left. Like, literally went and talked to her and was like, look, we have a full-time job, and like, we're trying to help you. But her whole thing was, this lady had tons of money, but she never wanted to spend it. Like, she should have just hired someone to come in and do the leaves. Like, it was a big job. This place is in the woods in Maine. Like, the amount of leaves to clean up at this campground was like unbelievable. So that was like her big thing. She literally made millions off this campground, had tons of properties she rented out, had a nice ass house, but she would go to the food pantry. That's how cheap she was. So whatever, it just didn't work out. So we left. We had nowhere to go. We stayed in a hotel for a while, and if you know anything about the beaches in New England, it's a very tourist friendly area in the summer. So by the time early July came, we couldn't even afford to stay in the hotels anymore. Like, we were making pretty good money, and I mean, we were staying at a Ramada Inn, and the prices got to be just like, I'm pretty sure we were paying anywhere from, at first it was like $1,000 a week, which is like whatever, and then it got up to like $2,000 a week for minimum stuff at a Ramada Inn. Like, this place was not nice at all. And the whole area is just expensive, really, and not very boondocking friendly. I mean, New England is not boondock friendly. Most of the East Coast isn't either. So we ended up having to go stay on some guy's land that was a trucker for the paving company, and he's a nice guy, but he's a crackhead, and that's why we were doing everything we could to not go there. It was like a last resort type of thing. So that's what we had to do. We brought the travel trailer over there, the 40-foot one, and it barely made it. I mean, this thing is not meant to be pulled around. We had to use a dump truck to bring it over there. And the place itself was like decent, like the land, but like, he trashed it. He was a hoarder, and he had like cars, trucks, just crap everywhere, so it was a lot. And we stayed there for the rest of the year, and then we went down to Florida, stayed at our other camper. So we kind of did the back and forth thing for a while. And then, like, this was the thing with that guy, though, is he knew that we were making good money paving, and he was like, oh, I want $1,000 a month for you guys to park here, literally, and just plug in and use well water. That's it. And the place is trashed. I mean, and it was like way up in the woods. We had to drive an hour to get to work every day. Whatever. He was taking advantage of that fact, but like $1,000 a month is a lot cheaper than what we were paying, and to stay in the hotels and do that, and it was cheaper and less hassle than going to another campground. So we were like, fuck it. Yeah, so then basically we did that for a little while, and I don't know, we just kind of got to the point where we were like, what are we doing with our life? Like, I don't know, there was a lot going on with the paving job. It was a family affair, and I don't know. The jobs were few and far between, and it got to the point where I had to pick up a second job in the winter for us to get through. And even in the summer, which should be packed with jobs and money, I had to pick up this other job, and I knew the only job I could get would be like a remote job because of the traveling. Plus, I needed something, because like we would just get paving. I needed to be able to choose my own hours, basically. So I did that, and I had that part-time. So when it came down to it, and we realized that we weren't getting anywhere, and we're paying this guy all this money, and then like there's just a lot of little things that happened that I won't get into, but it was a toxic situation. And his uncle, one year, one of the last years we went to Florida, gave us this trailer, basically the enclosed trailer that we have, and we built it into a camper so we could, like, you know, just go around and travel in Florida and have fun in the winter. That was like the idea behind it. And we did that. We came back up to Maine, worked for a while. We only made it about halfway through the summer in July before we were just like, you know what, this job is not working out. We're not happy. Because we were getting behind because they weren't getting enough work for the jobs, we weren't able to really pay our rent, and like we were like $1,000 a month, I don't know, to this guy for this, and like he kept having issues with his water and his power, so half the time we weren't even getting water or power, so it's like, what are we paying for, you know? And so we had kind of talked about going out west, and because of all the boondocking, free camping availability out there, and my boyfriend had never been west, and I wanted him to see it, so we said, you know what, life is short, like, why should we struggle and be miserable? So we took our little travel trailer. Well, we quit our job first, and I was like, I'll just do this remote thing for us. And then we quit our jobs in July, and then October 1st, we left. I think I had $700 after getting everything ready in my camper for the trip. And I mean, we were not prepared. I left most of my stuff there. Like, I got the really important stuff, but I should have, like, sold some stuff, and a lot of it just got left at that guy's house, and I don't know. It got to the point over there, though, that there was, like, a bunch of shady people and weird stuff going on, and the town was getting on him for his land being trashed, and, like, I don't know. It just was becoming a thing. So, yeah, we took off west October of 2023 and haven't looked back since. I mean, we weren't sure if we'd come back at the end of the winter or not, but now it's almost August of 2024, so a couple more months have been gone for almost a year, and it's been working out pretty good. I don't think we've paid to camp anywhere since we've been out here, except $200 for 6 months at the LTVA, which is worth it, though, because you can just post up for the whole 6 months. You don't have to move. I mean, $200 6 months, that's not bad. But yeah, so here we are now, and Not really sure what the plan is next, but yeah, that's my story so far. And yeah, my truck is having a hard time, so we're kind of just posted up here saving up for a new one, and then we'll be back on our travels. But I just wanted to share some of that story with you guys. And I mean, if I could do it, anybody could do it. I have no college degree, by the way. All I did was post to be an independent contractor on ZipRecruiter, and I was able to get a job, random job. Sometimes I do different stuff, selling solar panels here, doing this there, you know. But it's not always easy because I don't have a guaranteed paycheck every week, and my job isn't always guaranteed, but it's been enough to get us through. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you. Bye.